Hi, I'm Colt, Senior Solutions Architect at Domo. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to use Domo and Snowflake to improve patient outcomes for healthcare and life sciences professionals. Domo enhances the power of your existing Snowflake data stack. The integration of Domo and Snowflake allows customers to connect, enrich, prepare, transform, analyze, and visualize data all within the Snowflake platform. Domo doesn't replace Snowflake. It adds integration, ELT, and data visualization. When these two technologies unite, everyone wins. Managing data is smoother, creating data visualization is easier, getting actionable insight is faster. Domo's data solutions scale seamlessly across your ecosystem, leveraging the same security and authorization controls defined in your Snowflake data cloud. Now let's jump in and see it in action. We're starting now inside of Domo at my data warehouse. Connecting Domo to your Snowflake environment is both simple and secure. The process starts with seamless authentication to Snowflake, ensuring that access permissions align with your organization's policies. To get started, we're going to click on Connect Data up top, go down to Snowflake, and we're going to add a new integration. From this screen, we can go ahead and connect to our Snowflake integration through our Snowflake service account. I've got options for key pair or username and password connections. I can also go ahead and plug in my Snowflake private key file and connect when I'm ready. After connecting to Snowflake, I can go back into my Connect Data options, click on Connectors, and start taking advantage of Domo's huge connector library. So I've got options for thousands of pre-built connectors inside of Domo, things from like Smartsheets. Once I connect to a Smartsheet, I can pull in that data. For right now, though, we'll go back. Sometimes we need to connect to non-traditional data sources. One of those that I've used before is the email connector. If you have systems that can produce and send emails, sometimes it's a great benefit to be able to send those into a system like Domo, where we can capture the CSVs and other Excel documents that are attachments and actually have that data auto-populate inside of Domo and then pushed through into Snowflake. Since we're discussing healthcare, I took the liberty of loading some data from the Department of Health and Human Services. This particular data set lists providers in a certain geographic area. Clicking on the Data tab, I can explore the data that we returned from this connection. Within the settings, we can go through the various steps of configuring this connection. This particular dataset connection is using our JSON no-code connector. What that means is that we can pull data from an API endpoint without having to do any advanced coding. I simply plug in my endpoint, make sure I'm authenticated, and then I can parse my response. Taking a look at scheduling, I currently have this set to run manually, but we have options for advanced scheduling as well. So if I need things to run more than once a day, maybe every 15 minutes, this particular one will run every day. I can choose when I run this, maybe 1 a.m. And I'm also going to update methods of either replace or append. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now this will run every single day. I can also specify exactly where I'm storing this within my Snowflake environment, things like my database, schema, and what the table will be called inside of Snowflake. Let's transform our data. Inside Domo's Magic ETL, I'm presented with a canvas that allows me to do my extract, transform, and load steps in an easy drag and drop method. I've got multiple tiles I can take advantage of, things like selecting columns, adding constants. I can also remove duplicates and filters. For right now, we're going to go ahead and drag a SQL tile onto the canvas. The SQL tile lets me take advantage of Snowflake SQL, where I can execute queries using my own credentials and permissions, and these executions happen directly against my Snowflake environment. I can connect this to my input data source and begin previewing my data. I'm going to go ahead and run the preview. Now see the data that I have returned. Scrolling through this, I can notice pretty quickly here, I'm getting something that I didn't expect. Under my states, I see quite a few states that aren't Maryland. So I'm pulling back some states that I did not expect to have. So how do we get rid of that? So here in the code, I can go ahead and edit this at will. I'm going to go ahead and add a where clause. I'll autocomplete here and just choose my state. So I'm only returning states that are like MD for Maryland. So if I preview this again, I can see that yes, I indeed make changes since my last preview, so I'll rerun this. And now I'm only returning states that are Maryland. Perfect. So let's add an output data set at this time. So what this will do is create a new table inside of my Snowflake environment. I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. All right, a full replace here is fine. I will paste that there at the bottom. So the table names will match both what's in Domo and what's in my Snowflake environment. I'll go ahead and name my data flow here as well. All right, so once that's done, there's one last step. When do I want this data flow transformation process to run? All right, so I have options for when I trigger data flows. If I look at my trigger here, I can see I can trigger this directly off of when my data sets are updated. The other option I have is to actually choose a schedule for when these run as well. So if I don't want to monitor that data set, I can choose exactly when I want this to run. For now, though, we'll go ahead and delete this. We'll just keep this manual. All right, so let's go ahead and save and run. I can add a description here of what actually changed. Save that. This will kick off the transformation process and we can monitor that. I can see up top that the process is running. We'll give this a few seconds to complete. All right, so that's now finished. I can go over to my data sets, look at my output data set. And so this is the new data table that I've built inside of Snowflake. I can verify that yes, this is indeed all the data I'm expecting. All right, so there's a few changes I wanted to make. So I'm going to jump back into my data flow. I'm going to make some room here for some additional tiles. So I'm going to add in an additional input data set. I've got another data set here for Maryland hospital patients. I'm going to go ahead and choose this. Now, one thing you'll notice here, this was a spreadsheet initially, but I'm actually storing this inside of my Snowflake environment. I'm going to choose that data set. That's going to load for me. And so what I want to do is actually create a join between these two data tables. So I'll just drag a join onto the canvas. I can connect both of my tiles here just by clicking and dragging from the circle to the triangle. And inside of the configuration, I can specify the join types, quality conditions, or expressions on how we're going to be joining this. This particular table is pretty simple. I'm just joining on the hospital numbers, so I'll just find those particular columns. Okay. And so once that's done, I see I got a quick error. So what does that mean, right? Domo's great about it telling you exactly what kind of column errors you get when you're doing joins. So I can tell pretty quickly here. I've got two columns that are duplicated between the systems. I can just click on that auto fix button. And now I have options on how I want to handle these duplicated columns. I don't care about these. I'm just going to drop both of them. So once my join's configured, I'm ready to send this to my output. So I'll click, connect those two. Now I can rerun this and I'll have a complete data set with both of my inputs now joined together. So now that we're done with our transformation process, let's jump over to our apps and take a look at a couple of examples. So I'm on the home page of my healthcare app. I've got a few KPIs called out for me right here on the front, things like admission rates, readmission rates, and operating margin. I want to dive in more deeply into my data, so I've got a few options on where I can go. Things like capacity management, telehealth services, or patient safety. We'll start off with capacity management and take a look at what we have. On this page, I've got options to filter by my providers. You can see I have 9 different hospitals to choose from. Each of these filters will apply that particular hospital that I click on to the rest of the chart. So we can see I've clicked on 2 different hospitals, my KPIs update. I can also filter by departments if I wish. I also have options for things beyond just traditional filters. Let's say I'm looking at this chart for admissions for the last 13 weeks and I want to change what I'm looking at. Admissions is great, but I care about something else. I can use Domo's variable options to actually switch the metric that I'm graphing by. So you can see here on the left, I've got things like bed occupancy rates, patient to staff ratio, and surgery room utilization rates. Clicking on bed occupancy rate, I can see that change the graph. I can change the time frame. And now if I want to switch maybe to patient to staff ratios, just by clicking on this variable, the rest of the chart will update for me. So since we're discussing patient outcomes, let's jump over to our patient safety page. So I can tell a couple things right off the bat. For patient safety, I'm down around 6% from the last month. And while it looks like some of my top questions that affect that are still trending in the right direction, that percentage might have me worried. My rate of adverse events are only up slightly, but looking to the right, I can tell pretty quickly my readmission rates are trending in the right direction. So let's dig into that a little bit more. So since readmission rate is something I'm interested in, and I see that I have a goal of 15%, how do I keep track of this goal number and know whenever I start to get too close to this? I can use Domo's alerts to help me with this. Clicking on the alert button, I can specify an alert to let me know as my data is changing. I'll click on New Alert. I can use any part of the card here to alert me about what's happening. This particular one I'll set up so where if it's greater than 14%, as soon as my data updates, I need to know. I'll click on Next. I can compose a dynamic message here using context of the card. I can pull out individual metrics around the data that's changing so that I can make sure that I'm informed. And when I'm done, I just hit Next. And at this point, determine who needs to know about this alert. Is it just myself? Is it someone else on my team? And then I'll go ahead and save this. So once it's saved, I have options for how I get notified as well. So we can see I have a push notification option that's ticked on, as well as email. I can also get a text message if I want. For now, if I only want a push notification, I'll just remove that email option. So now anytime my alert is triggered, I'll get a push notification on the app. Back on my patient safety page, I have the question of how we start going beyond just purely reporting on current state. How do I start taking action on what's happening with my data? So how do we start taking that next step? So I've got a simple example we can walk through here with an adverse event report. We're going to log the patient ID, an event description, and a treatment response for any adverse event that happens. So as an example here, I'm going to go ahead and plug in a patient ID. I'll just pick one randomly here. We're going to say that this patient had a fall. So falls are pretty common in the hospital world. And then what was our treatment response? Well, we gave them some ibuprofen. So I'm going to put in here ibuprofen, 2,000 milligrams to deal with their pain. I'll click on Submit. And so this is the treatment response. And I can see that a workflow got started. So in the background, Domo workflows have started to kick off. This is a series of processes that started to do things like determine what the initial diagnosis was, who was the attending physician, and I've actually got an adverse event evaluation AI agent that I've built as well. After giving it a series of detailed instructions, this is going to evaluate based on the information I put into the form, as well as information about the patient to determine the next best step. I can see here that they were initially diagnosed with pneumonia. They have a fall. I can see what that treatment was. And then over on the right-hand side, I've got a result. So inside of this result, if I pop this open, we can see that, hey, this is an alert level high. This is a critical dosing concern. It looks like ibuprofen was way too much, and they have potential problems along with that as well. So this is definitely something I need to alert the physician on and take immediate action on this. And so what I've done is beyond the AI agent, we're determining what that alert level was, we're returning the summary, and then we're going to choose a conditional path, right? So is this a high or a low alert? This particular one is a high alert, so I've got a different path, right? So I'm going to log the event, but I've got an additional step here as well, where I'm going to send the physician a page, letting them know exactly what happened. So if I want to take a look at what's actually being sent to the physician, I can click on this tile. I can look and see what the subject and the body is. And I can see we're giving the physician all the information that they need to know. Who's the patient, what happened, and what the treatment path was. And so since we submitted this form, we've done quite a few things. We had a workflow that ran. We had a Cortex-powered AI agent run and actually determine what should happen with a patient. Those decisions were acted upon, and we've notified the physician. Domo integrates seamlessly with Snowflake, turning raw data into actionable insights that drive better decision-making. By combining Snowflake's powerful data storage capabilities with Domo's intuitive visualization and analytics tools, you can unlock the full potential of your data. Whether you're looking to improve efficiency, identify trends, or make data-driven decisions faster, this integration ensures your business has the insights it needs to stay ahead. With Domo and Snowflake, transforming data into meaningful outcomes has never been easier. Visit Domo.com to sign up for a free trial or talk to your Snowflake representative on how to get started.